We are starting tonight with the latest on the death of 4-year-old Javeayah Harris. News 19 has obtained arrest warrants against the parents, Michaela Herring and Javeayah Harris, that claim that they confessed to the little girl's death. And tonight we also have a 911 call that investigators say the mother made to dispatchers the night she says her daughter was missing. Now, we do want to warn you, some of the details from this arrest warrant are deeply disturbing. News 19's Megan Daukshis has the latest.
The Aiken County Sheriff has released arrest warrants against the parents charged in death of their daughter, Javeayah Harris. Those documents claim the girl's mother, 23-year-old Michaela Herring, told investigators she did not seek medical attention after knowing Javeayah had been injured. And investigators allege her father, Javeayah Harris, contributed to concealing her death by failing to report it. The warrants say investigators believe the child remained in the home after her death between May 1st and June 15th. Deputies said a search of the family's Aiken County home revealed Javeayah had not been abducted and instead had been dead over a month. The warrant claims the mother told them she disposed of Javeayah's body at another location. Deputies said she also filed a false police report that her daughter was missing. News 19 obtained audio of the call that deputies said the mother made to 911 on June 30th, claiming her daughter couldn't be found, again, weeks after investigators say Javeayah was already dead.
Ma'am, I don't have one. My phone is not on, but I can still call 911.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Okay, I'm on the way to you. Just to confirm, where was she in the house when you saw her last?
No, she wasn't in the house, ma'am. She been playing outside today. And
okay.
She asked me, can she play for a little bit more before it got dark, and I said yes. And I literally, her bath water is in the tub, ran, and dinner is cooking, and I came out here to get her, and I can't even find her.
Okay, is there a certain place she likes to play outside?
Usually in the chicken coop, and that's usually where I find her every day. And I just looked in here, and she's not in here.
By the time June 2026 arrived, the household at 39 Hillsborough Street had a specific shape. Michaela was employed at Transcom, earning approximately $1,300 biweekly. Javeayah was working at DHL Bridgestone. A baby was due on July 15th. By every external measure, life was moving forward. A growing family, 2 working adults, a new child on the way. What was happening inside that house during those same weeks is what the rest of this story is about. June 30th, 2026. Just before 9 p.m. Michaela Herring called Aiken County 911 from 39 Hillsborough Street. Her account to the dispatcher was straightforward. Javeayah had been outside playing near the area where the family kept chickens. Michaela said she went inside briefly to cook dinner, and when she came back out, her daughter was gone. She told dispatch she had already walked a wooded pathway behind the house looking for her and found nothing. She described what Javeayah was wearing: pink Minnie Mouse pajamas, pink beads in her braids. When the dispatcher asked about any health conditions, Michaela mentioned autism, though she acknowledged there was no formal diagnosis. She also told dispatch she was 39 weeks pregnant and that keeping up with Javeayah physically had become difficult. The call lasted approximately 5 minutes. It was recorded. It was released publicly by the Aiken County Sheriff's Office on July 6, 2026. By 12:30 in the morning, emergency alerts were going out across the region. Phones lighting up across Aiken County and into Augusta, Georgia. A 4-year-old missing. Last seen near Hillsborough Street. Pink Minnie Mouse pajamas. Javeayah Harris was not home when the call was made. His account, given to a reporter 2 days before his arrest, placed him at a Circle K laundromat nearby. He said he had been doing laundry that evening, made several store runs for gas, snacks, and drinks, and was working his way back through the neighborhood when he noticed heavy police presence near his street. He said he assumed Michaela had gone into early labor. She was days away from her due date. He sped home. Found his street lined with police vehicles. Michaela came out to him crying and told him Javeayah was gone. He told News 12 2 days before his arrest. Not knowing was killing him. Reporters who reviewed that interview after the arrests noted something that had not registered in the moment. Throughout the conversation, Javeayah spoke about Javeayah in the past tense. Not in the way someone might slip once under pressure. Consistently. He described who she was, how she talked, how she carried herself, all past tense. At the time the interview was recorded, Javeayah was still officially listed as a missing child. The search was active. Volunteers were still in the field. What the arrest warrants, released on July 6, 2026, now tell us is this. The 911 call Javeayah Harris placed on the evening of June 30th was not a report of a disappearance. According to investigators, it was a fabricated account constructed to explain an absence that had already been in place for weeks. Javeayah was not outside near the chicken coop when that call was made. She was not in the wooded pathway behind the house. She was not somewhere in the neighborhood waiting to be found. Per the warrants, both parents confessed. The story given to dispatch, to the public, and to the hundreds of people who gave days of their lives to the search. Investigators allege it was built from the beginning to cover what had already happened inside that house on Hillsborough Street. The response to Javeayah Harris' 911 call was immediate and it scaled fast. Aiken County Sheriff's deputies were the first on scene that night. By the following morning, SLED, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, had joined the operation. Shortly after that, the FBI's Columbia Field Office deployed resources to Aiken County. Special Agent in charge Kevin Moore led the federal response. Sheriff Marty Sawyer later explained his thinking on the FBI call. His reasoning was direct. When a child has not been found in a neighborhood after a certain amount of time, you do not wait. You get the FBI there early. If they turn out not to be needed, they go home. But you cannot afford to fall behind on a case involving a missing child. That decision, to bring federal resources in fast, would prove to be one of the most consequential calls made in this investigation. At its peak, the operation involved over 200 personnel. Volunteer fire departments mobilized alongside law enforcement. K-9 teams worked the ground. Drones ran grid patterns overhead. Helicopters cut across the sky. Bethel Baptist Church opened its doors and served as a command post for the volunteer search effort, with community members organizing and rotating through in shifts. Roadblocks went up on Pipeline Road and Reynolds Pond Road. Every vehicle exiting the Shiloh Heights neighborhood was stopped. Deputies with clipboards worked both checkpoints. No vehicle passed without being questioned. Neighbors were canvassed door to door. By July 3rd, more than 5,000 acres had been covered by search teams working in South Carolina summer heat. That same day, July 3rd, the public-facing search operation became less visible. It did not stop, but the posture shifted. And then on July 4th, Sheriff Sawyer made an announcement that reframed the entire operation. Investigators were now working an area of interest outside Aiken County. He did not say where. Something else came out of the neighborhood canvass that the public did not fully register at the time. When reporters spoke to neighbors during the search, more than one confirmed they had not seen Javeayah in months. Not days. Not the past week. Months. That detail did not make the loudest headlines during an active search. In hindsight, it was one of the earliest public confirmations that the timeline being presented did not match reality. What the public was not seeing during those 4 days was a second track running parallel to the search. From the beginning, investigators were working the case as a potential criminal matter, conducting interviews with family members, pulling digital evidence, running behavioral analysis, and drawing on the FBI's child abduction response resources. The two tracks, rescue and investigation, were operating simultaneously from the night that first call came in. It was the criminal track, not the search grid, that ultimately broke the case open. Cases like this one move fast and the details matter. Unsolved Files covers every layer, the investigation, the warrants, the courtroom. If you are not subscribed yet, hit that button now. When this case moves again, you will want to already be here. While the public search was still running in Aiken, a separate team of investigators had already determined that the answers were not going to be found near Hillsborough Street. The specific evidence that redirected the investigation has not been publicly disclosed. Law enforcement has stated only that they developed an area of interest during the course of the investigation. What that evidence was, a statement, digital data, something recovered during the criminal track running alongside the search, has not been released. What is known is where it pointed. Fairfield County, South Carolina. Near the Chester County line. Approximately 2 hours north of Aiken. Flight tracking data available through FlightAware showed a SLED helicopter, tail number N500SC, departing Columbia and circling low over the Fairfield County area. That flight pattern was publicly visible and was picked up by reporters monitoring aircraft movements tied to the case. A helicopter does not circle a rural waterway for 20 minutes without a reason. On the ground, the response was substantial. The South Carolina Department of Natural Resources arrived with the largest physical presence. Boats on trailers, ATVs, and a dedicated drone team. The Fairfield County Sheriff's Office deployed. Fairfield County firefighters were on scene. Multiple unmarked vehicles moved in and out of the area. The access road leading to Debutery Creek was closed entirely to the public. No one without law enforcement credentials was getting through. WRDW reporter Meredith Anderson was on the ground near the scene and photographed the blocked access road. Her reporting from Fairfield County put the location on the public record while investigators worked without official confirmation of what they were searching for. The geography of that search area is worth understanding. Debutery Creek sits on land owned by Duke Power Company, in the Catawba River Basin between Lake Wateree and Fishing Creek Lake. Locally, the area is known as Stumpy Pond, a heavily treed waterway full of submerged stumps and vegetation, used regularly for recreational fishing. It is not easy water to work. Boats have to navigate carefully. Visibility underwater is limited by debris and natural growth. Drone teams face tree coverage. The terrain alone makes any recovery operation in that area slow and technically demanding, regardless of how many resources are deployed. Members of Javeayah's extended family made their way to the Fairfield County scene. Some of them, according to reporters on the ground, were piecing together what was happening the same way the general public was, through news updates and social media posts rather than through direct communication from the investigative team. That is its own painful detail inside an already painful story. One additional fact sits in the background here without an official explanation attached to it. Both Javeayah Harris and Michele Herring have documented ties to Union County, the county adjacent to the search area, in the same region investigators traveled to when the case moved north. Law enforcement has not publicly connected those ties to the choice of search location. It is noted here because it is part of the record. July 4, 2026. 11:30 in the morning. Aiken County Government Building, 1930 University Parkway, Aiken. Sheriff Marty Sawyer stepped in front of the cameras and opened with something that set the tone for everything that followed. He said it was the hardest announcement he had made in 36 years of law enforcement. That is not a phrase a sheriff uses lightly. Everyone in that room understood what was coming before he said another word. He confirmed it directly. Investigators believe Javeayah Harris is deceased. The search that had mobilized an entire community, covered more than 5,000 acres and drawn federal resources from across the state had not ended the way anyone hoped. Then he said something that landed differently than anything else in that press conference. He said that on the night of the 911 call, June 30, 2026, it was already too late to save Javeayah. The investigation, he said, supports that she had been deceased for at least 1 month before that call was ever placed. 1 month. The search, the roadblocks, the dogs, the drones, the volunteers walking fields in summer heat, all of it came after the fact. The window had closed weeks before the phone rang. He then announced the arrest. Javeayah Harris, 23 years old, charged with homicide by child abuse. Michele Herring, 22 years old, charged with homicide by child abuse and filing a false police report. Both were booked into the Aiken County Detention Center following the announcement. Sheriff Sawyer noted that additional charges remained possible as the investigation continued. Under South Carolina law, homicide by child abuse carries a prison sentence of 20 years to life upon conviction. The false police report charge, filed as a felony, carries a potential sentence of up to 5 years in prison or a $5,000 fine. Sawyer confirmed that investigators had been in direct contact with Javeayah's extended family and asked the public to respect their privacy as they processed what had happened. He thanked every agency and individual who had contributed to the operation: local law enforcement, state agencies, federal partners, volunteer fire departments, emergency management officials, and the media for keeping Javeayah's photograph in front of the public throughout the search. FBI Special Agent in charge Kevin Moore addressed the shift in the investigation's focus. The case, he said, was now one of pursuing justice for Javeayah. The Columbia Field Office confirmed it remained fully committed and active. One final confirmation came from the sheriff's office that same day. The newborn baby Michele had delivered on July 1st, the night of the 911 call, had been placed with family members. That child was safe. The morning after the press conference, both parents appeared in court. Sunday, July 5, 2026. Separate hearings, both before Magistrate Judge Ronald Thornton at the Aiken County Court. Michele Herring went first. Her hearing was held at approximately 10:30 in the morning. No attorneys were present for her. Judge Thornton asked about her employment and financial situation. She confirmed she worked for Transcom and was paid bi-weekly, bringing home approximately $1,300 per paycheck. Based on that income, Judge Thornton ruled she did not qualify for a court-appointed attorney. Then came the bond determination. Judge Thornton was direct about the legal reality in front of him. A magistrate court does not have the authority to set bond on a charge that carries the possibility of a life sentence. That decision belongs to a circuit court judge. Thornton denied bond and confirmed the case would be transferred to circuit court, where a judge would hear the bond matter within 30 days of the arrest. One additional condition was noted at Michili's hearing: compliance with DSS requirements. The context for that condition was the newborn baby, who had been placed with family members following her arrest. Michili Herring's first scheduled court appearance was set for September 18, 2026, at 9 a.m. at the Aiken County Judicial Center, 109 Park Avenue Southeast, Aiken. Javeayah Harris appeared separately. He confirmed his employment at DHL Bridgestone but told the court he had not yet received a paycheck and could not provide an income figure. Judge Thornton assessed the same question of eligibility for a court-appointed attorney and ruled that Javeayah did not qualify either. Bond was denied on the same grounds as Michili's hearing. The charge is beyond the magistrate's jurisdiction to set bond. His case was likewise transferred to circuit court for that determination within 30 days. Javeayah Harris's first court appearance was also scheduled for September 18, 2026, at the same location. One detail from Javeayah's booking stood out publicly. He appeared in his booking photograph wearing a green garment known as a turtle suit, a tear-resistant piece of clothing that detention facilities use in specific circumstances at the discretion of jail staff. The Aiken County Detention Center has not publicly explained why he was placed in one. Its use carries no legal implication. It does not indicate guilt, confession, or any particular mental health status. It is noted here because it is part of the documented record. If this case matters to you, and it should, Unsolved Files is the place to follow it through to the end. Subscribe now and stay with us for every update as this moves toward trial. On July 6, 2026, the Aiken County Sheriff's Office released the arrest warrants for both Javeayah Harris and Michili Herring. What those documents contained moved the case from a series of official statements into something with legal specificity, named allegations, a documented timeline, and a factual basis for everything investigators had been building toward since the search began. The language in the warrants is precise and it is worth understanding exactly what it says. Both parents, according to the warrants, showed extreme indifference to human life in connection with Javeayah's death. That phrase is not rhetorical. It is the legal standard cited under South Carolina Code Section March 1685, the Homicide by Child Abuse statute, and it carries specific meaning in the context of how prosecutors will build this case going forward. The warrants allege that Javeayah sustained injuries as a result of physical abuse carried out by Michili Herring. The alleged abuse occurred at the family's residence at 39 Hillsborough Street in Aiken. The documented window for that abuse runs from May 1 through June 15, 2026. With a specific date identified in the warrants of around June 5. That places the critical period entirely within the weeks when Junebug was texting Michili asking about his niece and receiving deflections in return. After Javeayah sustained those injuries, the warrants allege that neither parent sought medical attention for her. That failure, the decision not to get her help, is central to the homicide by child abuse charge against both of them. The warrants draw a distinction between the two defendants. Javeayah Harris is accused of knowing about the abuse and knowing about Javeayah's condition, and of failing to seek the medical care that could have changed the outcome. Michili Herring is accused of causing Javeayah's death through the abuse itself, failing to seek medical care, and this is the allegation that connects directly to Debutery Creek and the Fairfield County search, admitting to disposing of Javeayah's body at a location separate from the family home. Both parents confessed. The warrants state this explicitly and cite both confessions as part of the probable cause basis for the charges. That means investigators did not file these warrants on circumstantial evidence alone. Both Javeayah Harris and Michili Herring gave statements. What the warrants do not contain is the method of disposal or the specific evidence that directed investigators toward Fairfield County. Law enforcement has said only that an area of interest was developed during the investigation. Whether that area of interest came directly from Michili's confession, from digital evidence, or from some combination of both has not been publicly disclosed. Javeayah's body had not been recovered as of the time this script was written. The search at Debutery Creek was still active. The warrants explain why. On the evening of Sunday, July 6, 2026, the community that had spent days searching for Javeayah Harris came back together. This time not to look for her, but to remember her. A candlelight prayer vigil was held at the alley in Aiken at 7 p.m. Organizers asked people to bring candles. They came. The same neighbors who had walked fields in the heat, the same volunteers who had worked shifts out of the Bethel Baptist Church command post, the same community members who had stopped everything when the alert hit their phones in the middle of the night on June 30th, they showed up again. Bethel Baptist Church, which had anchored the volunteer search effort from the beginning, was among the organizations whose members continued to show up for the family in the days following the arrests. Outside 39 Hillsborough Street, a memorial formed. Flowers were left at the property. Stuffed animals appeared. Near the center of it, someone placed a Minnie Mouse plush. The same character Javeayah Harris had described to the 911 dispatcher when she told them what her daughter was wearing the night she reported her missing. Pink Minnie Mouse pajamas. That detail, from a call investigators now allege was fabricated, had become the image the community held onto. Across the Augusta-Aiken region, digital billboards had been displaying Javeayah's photograph throughout the search. The same image released and distributed by the Aiken County Sheriff's Office. Those billboards did not come down after the arrests. Her face stayed up. A community that never got the chance to actually find her while she was missing had found another way to make sure she was not forgotten. They kept showing up. That part was real. As of July 7, 2026, this is the confirmed status of every active thread in the Javeayah Harris case. Javeayah Harris, 4 years old, is believed to be deceased. Her body has not been recovered. The search at Dubuque Creek in Fairfield County, near the Chester County line, remains active. SLED, the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office, and Fairfield County firefighters are all still deployed at that location. The terrain, the heavily treed waterway on Duke Power land known locally as Stumpy Pond, continues to make the recovery operation technically demanding. No timeline for the conclusion of that search has been publicly provided. Javeayah Harris, 23 years old, is in custody at the Aiken County Detention Center. He has been denied bond. His next scheduled court appearance is September 18, 2026, at 9 a.m. at the Aiken County Judicial Center, 109 Park Avenue Southeast in Aiken. A circuit court judge is expected to hear the bond matter for his homicide charge within 30 days of his arrest. Javeayah Harris, 22 years old, is also in custody at the Aiken County Detention Center. She has been denied bond. Her next court appearance is set for the same date and location, September 18, 2026. Her circuit court bond hearing is likewise expected within 30 days. Both face homicide by child abuse, which carries 20 years to life upon conviction under South Carolina law. Javeayah Harris faces the additional charge of filing a false police report. Sheriff Marty Sawyer has stated publicly that additional charges remain possible as the investigation continues. No additional charges have been announced as of this report. Both parents confessed, per the arrest warrants released on July 6, 2026. The FBI Columbia Field Office has confirmed it remains active and committed to the investigation. The text message exchanges involving June Bug have not been publicly confirmed by law enforcement as part of the active criminal case. No trial date has been set. The case is at its earliest legal stage. Here is what this case actually demonstrates when you step back and look at it in full. On the night of June 30, 2026, a 911 call went out and an entire region responded within hours. Aiken County Sheriff's deputies were on scene that night. SLED joined the following morning. The FBI was called in early, not because protocol required it but because Sheriff Marty Sawyer made a judgment call that you do not wait on federal resources when a child is missing. Over 200 personnel were in the field within days. More than 5,000 acres were covered. Roadblocks went up. Every car leaving the neighborhood was stopped and questioned. A parallel criminal investigation ran alongside the public search from the very first night. The system, by every measurable standard, worked exactly the way it is supposed to work. And none of it was enough to change what had already happened. Because the 911 call that launched all of it, investigators now allege, was not a report of a disappearance. It was the endpoint of a cover story. By the time those emergency alerts hit phones across the Augusta-Aiken region at 12:30 in the morning, Javeayah Harris had already been gone for approximately a month. The search was never a rescue. It became a recovery before it was publicly acknowledged as one. What is worth holding on to, and what gets lost in the scale of the law enforcement response, is what was happening before any of this became official. An uncle known as June Bug was texting Javeayah Harris in early May asking about his niece and getting silence and deflection in return. Neighbors, when canvassed by deputies during the search, told reporters they had not seen Javeayah in months. These were not investigators. They were people paying attention. And the record of that attention, those text messages, those neighbor accounts, sat outside the official timeline the entire time the search was running. A community showed up when Javeayah's name was finally said out loud publicly. They walked fields. They organized through churches. They held vigils. They left flowers and a Minnie Mouse plush outside a house on Hillsborough Street. They kept her photograph on digital billboards across the region after the arrests came. None of that brought her home. But it is part of the record of this case and it belongs in the telling of it. Here is what remains open as of this report. Javeayah has not been recovered. The search at Debutery Creek in Fairfield County is ongoing. 2 people have confessed and are sitting in the Aiken County Detention Center without bond. The legal process is at its absolute earliest stage. No trial date, no additional charges announced, a circuit court bond hearing still ahead for both defendants. Sheriff Sawyer has said more charges are possible. The FBI remains active. There is a significant amount of this case still to unfold. Javeayah Harris was 4 years old. She lived at 39 Hillsborough Street near Ridgecrest Road in Aiken County, South Carolina. She talked clearly, engaged fully, and by every account from the people who knew her was sharp and present and warm with everyone she met. People who had never heard her name before June 30, 2026, drove to Aiken, walked fields in summer heat, and gave days of their lives because her photograph appeared on their phones in the middle of the night and they decided to show up. That is worth something. That matters. This case is not closed. The recovery search is active. Court dates are on the calendar. Charges may still be added. And when Javeayah Harris and Michele Herring walk into a South Carolina courtroom, when a judge sets a trial date, when a jury is seated, when a verdict is delivered, Unsolved Files will be here covering every single moment of it. If you are not subscribed, you will miss it. Hit subscribe right now. Turn on notifications so this channel reaches you the moment something breaks. Drop your city, your state, or your country in the comments below. We want to know where our audience is watching from, because this community spans further than you might think. And if someone in your life needs to understand why cases like this one matter, share this video with them today. The best thing that can happen for Javeayah at this point is that nobody forgets her name. Make sure they don't.